Alright, welcome to this new stream, this new game called The Hungry Lamb. I know very little, as always, about the game we're about to play. And as I told you yesterday, this is the second game of the two games that got some votes in terms of games to play that have nothing to do with fighting. And there aren't a whole lot of games out there, or let's say a whole lot of genres out there, where there is no fighting involved in any way, shape, or form. I could have probably just gone and played a farming game, let's be honest, and I would have been fine because the fighting amount in those is very limited and very deliberate if you want to go for them. Hi, Dawn. So, yeah, but I've decided to put some visual novels on the up for a vote, and this one won. So let's go in this. That sounded wrong. Let's start this and see what this is all about. New game. So far, I'm really positively surprised with the music, not gonna lie. The music here is super nice. Year of the Wolf, okay. I often ponder why my father named me Liang. The word Liang indicates Shan. Shan? Virtue. Okay. I'm probably gonna butcher all those Chinese names, so I'm very sorry. If somebody knows Chinese and can correct my pronunciation, I'll be happy to. Right? The character Shen is in the shape of an open-mouthed sheep. Looking at it, you can imagine the sheep's cry. I guess with a lot of imagination you can see a sheep in that, but okay. Perhaps. If one is as gentle as a lamb, Liang suits him. However, I refuse to see myself as a sheep. I am a wolf.
娘，送他回家了。
Yeah, okay, I wasn't so off with Liang, I would say. for a native speaker, I probably still butchered it, but I'm sorry. Send him home. From nearby, there came a rough voice inquiring. I glanced sideways, and the man approached from the distance. Step by step, he made his way, twigs and fallen leaves crunching. Sunlight streamed through the cracks in the woods, dappling everything. Yet he adeptly hid himself in the shadows. I feel like they put this through a translation app and then decided to go for all the fanciest words they could find for the synonyms. Like it is fine, but it feels so high strung. If you know what I mean. The wording is definitely up there. You look creepy, my dude. I sized him up. Capped in a bamboo hat, clad in a raincoat holding a gourd. He seemed more fisherman than a menace at first glance. Such an appearance made it easy to let one's guard down, hence he was usually tasked with luring the sheep, and then I would do the butcher's job. This fella was another wolf accompanying me. His name was Jing. Yeah, I'm quite sure that X is never pronounced Xing, but I don't know. I can never remember how it is supposed to be pronounced, so I'm very sorry. Jing. But I preferred calling him Tang.
喂，问你呢，干嘛不说话？处理干净了吗？
Wrapped up, gave the sheep a stab when he wasn't looking.
现在丢哪儿了？
Buried.
买仔细了没？这里离城可不远，别被野兽刨出来。
Okay, so there was a disclaimer that this has themes of cannibalism. Are they hunting humans to feed to the rest of the town? Question mark. Buried him tight. No worries.
行，那他身上都有些啥呀？
Okay, so far it just seems like they're robbers, which is fine. Well, it's not fine, but I think cannibalism is a lot worse. 3,000 coins worth, 5 taels of silver plus 200 coins, red gloves, and a pouch. I take 4 taels, you get the ragged clothes, and the pouch is mine.
凭啥？
This time there was just one sheep. I killed and buried him, so I deserve more.
行吧，行吧，就这样吧。荷包多少钱？
Not much, it's just a common item.
我看看。
Tang wanted to see the pouch. I reached into my waist bag and pulled it out for Tang to see. The pouch was small enough to fit in one hand. Common sense would dictate that a sheep's pouch might contain a handkerchief or some checks, but it was empty. The pouch was red, sewn together with patches, yet it looked new and was embroidered with a light-coloured word, An. I chuckled softly. How did the pouch end up with this embroidered word? Did the lamb's name contain An, or did he wish safety from the pouch? If it's the latter, the pouch surely failed him.
妈的，确实是破东西，卖不了几个钱，你自个儿收着吧。
Thank you, thank you.
真不知道你为啥稀罕这些羊毛啊！每宰一只羊都得留点羊毛，小心哪天留了痕迹，把你给害死。
The wording is so weird. I can understand it. They don't want to humanize them. It would make the reality of their lived experience all the more real. I get that, but the wool? You always take some wool every time you butcher a sheep. Beware, one day you'll find yourself killed for leaving traces. No big deal. I gave the pouch a squeeze and tossed it into my waist pouch. I wouldn't even necessarily say so. Since they call themselves the wolf as a hunting animal, and sheep as very easy prey, all things considered, it is definitely more of the dehumanizing factor behind it. It's kind of interesting, yeah, that they just went for straw, hay, whatever, instead of hides to, well, make raincoats. If it's thick enough, I would presume so. Otherwise, they wouldn't have done it for a couple hundred years after all.
走，趁着天没黑，咱快去华州搞点酒肉。
We should grab some food and drink in How did you pronounce that? Can I get that again? Damn it. Tang patted my shoulder, taking the lead. He really has such a creepy smile, though. Almost certainly. Sorry. I'm always, as a European, I'm so sorry, but it is always so funny to me when Americans are like, we're so proud of our history. And I'm like, yeah, what? those 400 or something years. Good job. Good job. But yeah, and most of them are just wars after wars, so yeah, great history. Great history. Liang, since you got the bigger share this time, it's your treat. Okay. I responded casually to Tong, pressing my hand on my bamboo head to softly lower it. Following Tang's footsteps, I walked forward, each step accompanied by the crunch of leaves underfoot. It was fine not to pay attention to these sounds, but if you do, they could become quite loud. You know, I live in the oldest city on the right side of the Rhine. It was declared a city by the Romans 79 before Christ. See? Mm-hmm. Chew on that. It was fine not to pay attention to these sounds, but... Right. It is a tiny town, but... we're very proud of our history. It was fine not to pay attention to these sounds, but if you do, they could become quite loud. It was as if the bird chirps and monkey cries had disappeared, and the whole forest was flooded with the crunch of trodden leaves. Just a little. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We, the two wolves, trot across the desolate mountains and wild ridges. Upon passing a tree with a sturdy, twisted trunk, I couldn't help but look closer. I knew it. Beneath that tree lay the sheep I butchered. Cat. Okay, so this is probably the girl we saw on the cover. The sun hung high, almost blinding, but its ray lacked the slightest trace of warmth. I couldn't shake the memory of the sun from my childhood, so warm and inviting. Now, it felt different. Perhaps it was a sign of the fading dynasty, an era gripped by misfortune where even though daylight had grown cold. Perched on a boulder by an inn in Huashou, I emptied the last drop of my flask. Well, excuse me. I had to do that. The fiery liquor seared my throat, yet its warmth refreshed my stomach. In bygone days I deemed myself an unfortunate soul. However, in this year of calamity, savouring the fiery liquor proved to be a rare stroke of luck.
Yeah, 有活了，还是个大活。
Or was it the year of the cat? I just read cat because it was in bold letters. A familiar voice rang in my ears. I glanced over and there was Tung standing behind me. Same old attire, bamboo hat, straw raincoat. He seemed like a fisherman. Tung's eyes gleamed, smiling at me, ready to spill some good news. What's the job? I gave him a quick look, inquiring casually.
城北有间客栈，关了尹三儿留的几只小羊。
Shinsan, okay. The more lambs, alright.
哎呀，这几只小羊是尹三的人去送的。
Jisan.
他们犯了别的事，
Okay.
被官兵给抓了。他现在无人可用，让我们替原本的人办事儿。
Of course, we have to. Seriously, that creepy smile of his. Could they have drawn him any less creepy? His resting bitch face is already. He sure is. His resting bitch face is already something to behold, but his smile, I would run away when I see him. But, okay. I won't handle lambs.
哎，你会错意了。当然知道你不杀小羊啊。
Oh, what happened to make you go against your previous job description, huh? Mr. Wolf? Mr. Former Wolf, I guess? Then, what's the deal?
我们要送几只小羊去洛阳。
Escort? Why would we escort anybody? What's supposed to happen to them? Are they slaves? Human trafficking? My heart sank. I finally got what Tongue had been hinting at with his mysterious talk. Whenever he sought me out before, it usually meant dark deeds, like robbing and killing. This time, all secretive talk. Turned out he wanted us to do trafficking, delivering some acquired lambs to Luoyang for a good price.
诱口？你不能这么说啊！小羊又不是我们逮的，算不得诱口。
Just because you guys didn't kidnap them personally, you are still... Yeah. Sounds like a good work-life balance for sure. Just because you guys didn't kidnap them doesn't mean that they're not you're not trafficking them if you move them against their will from one place to another. Well, okay, I guess. Whatever gets you going.
不过，你愿意这么想，倒是也好懂一些。
Right, okay. Stop smiling!
你也知道的，尹三儿那人虽然一直是帮我们介绍劫道的活，但是他的主业其实是人牙子。
See? And now you're pointing it out yourself. Human trafficking. That's all you're doing, my dude. But, well, I guess then. Better than killing. For a tiny amount of cash.
这单确实是要把他搞到的小羊给送到洛阳，不过不是啥恶事儿，是善事儿。
A good deed, right? And for whom? Is it considered good? For the people being trafficked, or the person you're doing it for? Oh, thanks for asking. How is human trafficking a good deed? I frowned and almost didn't want to hear Tongue talk anymore.
当然是善事儿啊！你听我说，先听我说。
Yeah, I'm listening. Tell me why.
娘，这几年各地大旱，很多羊都被饿死，所以呀，有快饿死的人家把他家的小羊卖给尹三换钱粮。
So we basically have the geisha plot? God, it's been so long since I watched that movie. How old is that now? Sorry, totally beside the point.
洛阳那边呢，有一只大肥羊啊，它有的是钱，就是生不出小羊，便想从穷地方收几只来养。
Right. Have you not watched the geisha? It is a bit uncomfortable to watch, not gonna lie. But it's a good movie. And the soundtrack is nice. Okay, this is... Okay, good. It is worth watching at least once. But I guess you have to be somewhat in the right headspace. The love story is a bit weird. Not gonna lie. With deep pockets but no offsprings, he's eyeing a deal to acquire new from profit areas a few.
你想啊，那些穷人家小羊们本来就要饿死，我们把它送到富的地方去。
giving them a chance in wealthier places. I'm not so sure that they have a chance there. My dude, that is just wishful thinking, but okay.
这样他们的父母不至于饿死，小羊也能吃得饱饱的，所有人都高兴了，咱这是在做善事啊。
They're only gonna be well fed until they're sold. And then what? And then what, Tongue? Huh? Tell me.
不瞒你说，一只小羊100两，4只小羊400两，你我对半分，今后几年都不愁吃穿了。
Right, guess I'll have to start human trafficking as well. Sounds like easy money.
妈的，扭扭捏捏的干啥呀？给个痛快呀！你要是不做这么好的活，我就找别人做。这不是看你身手好，一个能顶俩。
Why aren't you doing it alone? Okay, I guess 4 people to traffic for 1 person might be a bit much, but still, 2 for 4 is also not that much. Hold on. I called out to Tongue. When do the lambs need delivering?
越早越好，我今天就要去看看。
You're checking it out today? What are you checking out today? The goods or the place you're supposed to get them to? Fine, I'll join you. I rose, brushed off dust. Tongue laughed, leading the way. Tongue said a few words, managing to convince me. Maybe it was the promise of no worries about food and clothing, or perhaps the idea of doing good deeds that swayed me. Anyway, I'm going along with Tongue's plan to say what's up. See what's up.
哎呦，我的2位爷，我总算把你们给盼了，哎，快坐，快坐。
They really went all in with their evil designs, didn't they? You are really supposed to know who the evil guys are. Yeah, give me a second. I'm gonna make the chat permanent again. Beep. Well, my esteemed guests are here at last. Please take a seat.
妈的狗子，没个眼力劲儿，快给2位爷上热酒。
Just arrived at the inn with Tongue, and Yin San greeted us with flattery. Guiding us to our seats at the inn, he scolded his workers to bring us drinks. The sudden shift in behavior made me wonder if he was just acting. Oh no shit, Sherlock! I stayed standing, eyes fixed on Yi-san, my mind wandering into some interesting scenarios. Possibly from my childhood love for shadow plays. Whenever I meet someone, their animal form pops into my head. That's obviously a red. What else is it supposed to be? What? Okay, tell me. Most are sheep. Tongue and I are wolves. Right. Yi-san, though, comes across as a fox. I see a red. Where's the fox? That is very clearly a rat. And how the other guy is supposed to be a wolf is beyond me. I would have maybe seen him more as a fox, but this guy, no. Red. Clearly. This fox's lair was the inn in North Huazhou. No guests came, and it's closed all year. The inn was a cover. A really bad one if it's closed all year. You know, a cover needs to be open to be counted as a cover. He used it for his business dealings. There's a higher up answer too. The big boss handed down missions and he passed them on to us. Back then the jobs we pulled for him were all about hitting caravans. He'd tip us off on a sweet haul and we'd go in. This time it's a bit different. a job involving human trafficking. Whatever the job, we meet up at this inn most of the time.
林三儿，我们来了。梁说他可以解。
Who said I'm in? I haven't committed.
啊，没定？哎呦，梁爷，你可不能没定啊！
Why can't I be uncertain now? Are you gonna kill me because I know what job you're giving out to Tang, whose other name I absolutely forgot already?
你身手好，又和心也熟，这活可不能缺了你。哎，我知道您之前没做过右口的事儿，也不愿意做。
Yeah. I want so much as this wolf, I guess.
只是真的不用担心，你们这次的活只是运送小羊，小羊是怎么来的，要送给谁，都和你们没关系。
Why is he also talking about lambs? I thought that was just between the two wolves, quote unquote. It kind of makes it weird that everybody uses the same terminology. But okay. Okay, they got here and who they're for. None of your business. Right, yeah, makes me want to do this job all the more, not knowing who I'm delivering them to, probably. Into not the greatest future. Yay.
哎，而且我也不怕给你们交个底儿，这次啊，收小羊的人全是
Yeah,
头
thought
天，
so.
哪怕出了什么事儿，官府也查不下去。
They won't do anything against the person purchasing the other human beings. But you guys are done for. What do you expect? That he's gonna protect you? If anything, he's gonna kill you. Are we really that stupid?
哎，再说了，现在兵荒马乱，官府哪能管得上啊？嘿，哎，星爷，您说是吧？
Yeah, I agree, totally.
去他娘的官府！闪地好多地方造反，他们要么在贪钱，要么在藏钱，哪能顾得上我们？
Yi-san, come explain to me, relying on Tang backing him up at the same time. Tang chucked half a cup of hot wine, backing Yi-san and shooting me wings. No worries about food and clothing, and clothes, doing good deeds, and times are chaotic. They kept echoing in my mind, challenging my principles. Now, do I dive into this job, or think twice? Oh! My first choice. I wonder what effect it's gonna make. It's gonna have. But you know what? Let's scope out the lambs first. I'll take a look at the lambs first and decide after. I said slowly to Yi-san and Tang.
哎，行，梁爷愿意看小羊，那就有戏。猴子，去，把小羊带上来。
Okay, let's see in what condition they are currently in. Yi-san shouted, his voice echoing. The inn's waiter nodded, hurrying towards the back door. The lambs were brought up, tied with hemp ropes around their waists, linked together to stop any escape. Some softly cried, others trembled, nudged into a line by the inn's waiter standing in front of me. I kept quiet, scanning the lambs. My God, they're so young. The leftmost lamb, the second one, they must know each other. Staying close, the elder guarding the younger. Probably sisters, both pretty young. I figured the older sister was 9 and the younger one was 6. What? Okay, it is just the jacket bulging, but it kind of looks like they were going for boobs here, and I was like, I know that there are girls that develop boobs really early, but that is mostly in our current timeline where the ages of development happened quicker than they did years prior. So it feels weird to see a 9-year-old, an apparent 9-year-old, with indications for boobs. They were attempting to define the gender a bit. This is a poor way to do it, but I think that's the intention. Yeah, probably. You know, if they told me she was like 12, 13, I would get it. I would absolutely get it, but I guess back in the day they would have been sent off to work somewhere if they were that age, so... Yeah, I don't know. The 6-year-old also looks a bit older than 6. Although 6 is always so... It is... Some 6-year-olds look old for their age and some look really young, so it is always... True, anime kids. It's always hard to really define age with the anime style, so... Yeah... Anime/manga style. 6-year-old dragging lollies and 6,000-year-olds looking like they're 20. True. Both sported worn-out clothes, dark complexions and rugged, disheveled faces. Their slender frames hinted at a poor background. They still look pretty well fed, not gonna lie, but... Yeah, probably. Glancing at them, the older sister, scared yet putting up on a brave face, a brave front, defiantly locked eyes with me, while the younger one shied away, too frightened to speak. Maybe the older sister aimed to protect the younger one and viewed me as a threat. That is definitely the girl from the cover, isn't it? The thread sheep. It's not the third, it's the thread. The third lamb stood out from the first two. Probably of school age. She wore old clothes, was small, but had much fairer skin than the first two lambs. She bowed her head in fear, hesitant to speak, yet her upright stance hinted at an unusual background. But the two on the left, the third snatched? I casually asked, Yi-san, laying out my judgment.
良爷眼力真准，不瞒您说，确实如此啊。
Okay, what about the fourth one?
左边啊，这俩小羊是姐妹，她们是附近穷山沟的。
Jame, okay, so sisters. Poor Hamlet.
哎呀，现在各处闹饥荒，他家养不起这么多娃子，便先把女娃卖了，给小儿子换粮吃。
Yeah. God, I hate patriarchies. Sorry, but it's always the girls getting sold off because they can't inherit anything back in the day, or couldn't inherit anything. I think in some parts of China it is still that way, that they cannot inherit the family fortune. It is super weird. Yeah, and because they leave the family, quote unquote, if they marry, they have to leave the family to live with the other family. They're seeing more so as money drains. It's such a weird thing. And feed their younger son, call. Yi-san spoke slowly. As he did, I shifted my attention to the two lambs, keeping an eye on their reactions. After hearing that, the younger sister stood there, seeming a bit lost. Oh no, did the bigger sister lie to her? Probably. No. The older sister, with teary eyes, looked on the verge of crying. It seemed what Yi-san said was true.
至于第3只嘛，出身不错，确实是我们拐来的。
Why are you so proud of that? Snatched. Is it safe?
肯定安全，不安全我哪敢往外送啊？
Yeah, I would think so. That you would be absolutely fine sending her away. No way snatched ones are safe, especially when this lamp seems from a decent family. I hushed my tone and spoke icily to Yi-san.
情况特殊，良爷，别急，别急呀！
Alright. I won't relax, but not that I can do a lot here. Yi-san chuckled awkwardly in response to my words.
来这边说话。
Alright, tell me more. Yi-san pulled me aside a bit, trying to steer clear of that lamb.
良爷啊，这只小羊情况特殊，我们查过的。虽然它是贵家出身，但运它没有风险。
And why is it risk-free even though she's a noble? Is she an illegitimate child? God, I'm so sick of that trope. Why? When does trafficking a noble young lady become risk-free? Aren't you worried her family might report this to the government?
报官？哎呀，不怕。
No chance. Okay.
他家现在自顾不暇，怎么可能来找他呀？
Occupied with what? What happened?
他家呀，曾与原都师交往甚密，好像还沾点亲戚。
And I'm supposed to know who Inspector General Yuan is? Yuan?
原都师你知道吧？就是那个得罪了万岁爷被切片的，被诛了3族啊！
Ah, okay, cool. Cool. Huh. Monarchies. Awesome. You'd offend one person, you doom your entire family for generations. Let's go.
都师死后，他家遭受株连，杀的杀，流放的流放，遭贬的遭贬，早就家不成家了。
Oh, yeah, okay, understandably so. I kept quiet. If Yi-san's words held true, no one would bother about the lamp this family lost. Even in times of peace and prosperity, the offspring of condemned officials were disregarded, let alone in times of turmoil. Fine, I'll give the last lamp a look. I nodded, leaving the matter of the 3rd lamp behind, and turned my attention to the last one. How did you not see her? Well, they were lined up in front of you. That feels a bit weird. If they were brought in one by one, I would have understood, but since they were standing before us, oh well. Don't question it. A boy! A rather stupid-looking one. Okay, I'm gonna guess mentally impaired. 4th lamp's a young boy. He looks like the oldest, tall, only a head shorter than me. Okay. Hunched, awkwardly tilting his head. He anxiously looked around, his gaze dodgy and elusive.
林三儿，这羊看起来不太对啊，有呆变。
Tong frowned, studying the 4th lamp before him.
是啊，他确实有点呆傻。
小时候患了热病，把脑袋烧傻了。
The wording! Fried his brain,
不
okay.
是，似乎他就是天生傻。这小羊从小就这样，家里一开始觉得他是弥勒佛转世，就一直养到大。
What? They thought he was a reincarnation of Buddha? Okay.
后来闹了饥荒，家里穷了些，不想养这佛了，他妈就把这小羊卖给我们了。
Okay, cool. Yeah, That's how long that familiar connection lasted, I guess. Oh, poor child. Upon hearing the word mom, the fourth lamb got agitated, staring intently and yelling mom loudly. Seeing this, the other lambs seemed to think of their own moms too. Eyes teared up, quietly sobbing. Maybe for these lambs, feelings spread like laughter.
尹三儿，你确定肥羊会想要这种小羊？
Oh, the fancy sheep. I was like, what? Sadly, since those are the easiest to manipulate, they're also the easiest to make into victims. Might be harder sometimes to handle them, but if you know how to do it, I don't think anyone who would buy a human being would say no. Tang asked with a mocking tone, a hint of anger emerging in his voice.
哟，谁知道呢？也许哪家也觉得他是弥勒佛转世，想要养呢。洛阳那家说尽量是女娃子，但或许也能看下男娃子，能收的男娃比女娃少多了，也就只能搞到这种的了。
Great. Ah.
不行，这种绝对不行。
哎，星爷为何不行啊？
先不说我要是肥羊，绝对不想要这种小羊，你给我们运也运不了啊。
True, might be too hard to actually keep him in line, but still. He would probably be killed by his own family.
这弥勒佛带着
I
太
don't know
麻烦
what is
我和你
worse.
娘爷在路上被他惹急了，一冲动便可能把他宰了。
Yo, Tang. No. No.
哎呦，星爷呀，你就不能收收脾气？这是肥羊要的羊，少一只就少一份钱，丢一只，可能都要你们倒给钱的。
Alright.
那我更不能要了，我最管不来这种有呆病的。
Because you are slow yourself, asshole.
我们管不了他，若是他一路喊喊叫叫，难免会引来官兵。
On the other hand, why am I protecting? Why am I saying we should keep him with us? Oh my god. I don't know, but all things considered, he's certainly gonna die if we were to leave him behind. They would kill him. They wouldn't find any other place for him to stay. So, for now, it is safer to keep him with us. I just fear that I doomed him because I said I wanted to see the wares. Oh no. It is my fault. Agreed. Liang, no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. I sided with the tongue. No! I didn't have a choice. I want my choice. This lamb was too hard to handle and might stir up troubles.
哎，行行行行行，我早知道你会不愿意。
But
哎，正好，也罢。其实我也担心那肥羊会不喜欢男娃，哪怕这种肥点的也不行，大概率会退货。
but
哎呀，哎，狗子，那你还是把那小羊也带上来吧。
that lamp. Which lamp? That lamp? I furrowed my brow, puzzled by Isen's words. Oh no, that's the girl from the cover, alright. Before long, the waiter returned with another lamb. The lamb stepped out from the backyard, immediately catching my eyes. appeared to be around 10 in the early years of schooling. Donned and worn out clothes, her skin neither dark nor particularly fair. I would call her quite fair. Quite slender. My first takeaway from observing her. Okay, why are we looking at her so closely? Feels like we are already sexualizing her. She's 10! She had a small frame, clothes tightly wrapped around her, revealing protruding bones at her wrist. The thin fabric outlined her bones. That is also uncomfortable, but I feel more comfortable with this description than the other one. Just because it is a more objective view of her current condition. Her hair was pitch black, while her eyes had an unusual deep blue hue. This lamb appeared delicate. If she were a bit plumber, perhaps she'd be a beauty in the making. Yeah.
哟，这小羊看着还不错。你这儿的几只小羊，说实话，除了弥勒佛，都还长得不磕碜。
那是，我的货源肯定正。哎，梁爷觉得如何呢？
Yeah, right. I said it before, but seriously, they really went in with the evil character design. You know, lamp is replacement for people. That's why I said it seems more of a dehumanizing way of talking, so they don't think of the real thing that is going on. Don't worry, don't worry. So that's why I was like, I feel uncomfortable with the word lamb the entire time. I added the hashtag dark for a reason. And we also will get into cannibalism, so... Yay? I don't mind how the lamb looks, but I'm curious why she isn't tied up like the others. I noticed the last lamb wasn't tied with a rope around her waist. Curiously asked Yi-san.
啊，它和其他小羊不一样，它不用绑的。
She's a new cow. You trust her?
放心啊，它不是被卖过来或是拐来的，而是逃荒的时候自己过来的。
Okay, and you're selling her off because...
这娃子呀，是上个月刚来的，像是被调教过，只要给一口饭吃，什么活都愿意做。
What did you do to her? If you had her do any work? It sounds like you already sold her into sex work, my dude.
哎呀，虽然我也觉得可惜，但你们若是不想带那弥勒佛，可以让他替着去吧。正好啊，他也愿意去洛阳。
Okay.
哎，他是哑巴，但是很懂事，平常不哭闹。你们跟他说会去一个能吃饱饭的地方，一定愿意跟着去。
Oh, she sounds adorable.
我说尹三儿啊，你这儿的小羊怎么除了傻子就是哑巴？
All? What do you mean all? There were two perfectly fine sisters.
哎呦，这小羊是哑巴又怎样？二位爷呀，说真的，要不是跟肥羊约好了货的数量，我真不打算把它给交出去。 你们别不信，哪怕他不会说话，养大后绝对能卖个好价钱。
And why would anyone complain that their servant can't talk? I'm putting servant in air quotes. In very heavy air quotes, of course, but don't masters normally want their servants to be unseen, unnoticed, and, well, definitely not talking? Oh, for sure. Well, they have a bigger audience to reach, so more eyes to please, more people to please with one story. So normally they just don't go too deep into certain topics to not scare away certain people. And to get that PG rating, because let's face it, as soon as a game is rated for adults, less people will be able to get their hands on, even though most male friends that I talk to got their parents to or grandparents to buy them games 18 plus, rated 18 plus from adults in the German way of things, 16 or 18 plus. When they were definitely below that age. Yeah, we don't go by PG or adult, we go by 0, 6, 12, 16, 18. That's it. 0 is all ages, of course. 6, I have no idea why it is. I think it has a bit more story or something. I can't remember what the meaning behind it is. 12 means there are some darker themes that could disturb little children. 16 is because of the profanities, and also even darker themes, and then 18 is of course blood and splatter and sex. If there's implied sex, that could be 12. If nothing is shown. If it is heavily implied, it is 16. I could be absolutely wrong. I never really paid attention to it. Without words, she'll be a good sum. Worth a good sum. Once she's grown. Yeah, probably. Also, all the more so because she's mute.
他耳朵没问题吧？
哎，没问题的。
True, true. I just remember one time. Do you remember the movie Salt? With, oh god, don't know. About some drug that apparently unlocks the brain's full capabilities, and the female protagonist. That movie, yeah, it was really, really bad. But I was 15 and a half when that movie came into our... There you go, Jackson. Came into cinemas around me. And I wanted to watch it because it sounded interesting. But obviously I was too young for a movie rated 16. And I went with a friend of mine to go watch that movie. We were then, of course, controlled. Although no, he wasn't, even though he was even younger than me. So you only used... Yep. For sure, for sure. Yeah, it is such a stupid movie. Well, we were our ID was controlled, and well, mine was, and well, I was 15 and a half and was like, come on, it's only a couple of months now until I'm 16, can't I go in? No, I'm so sorry, it's policy, blah blah. And well, yeah. Short story, long story short, on my 16th birthday, the friend I went to the movies with, or tried to watch that movie, gave it to me. So I was like, all right, let's watch that movie on my birthday now that I'm 16. And it was such a stupid movie. I almost fell asleep, and I was like, why is that movie 16? Yeah, because of drug use, I guess. But oh my god, it was so stupid. And there was definitely nothing in there that would have disturbed me more or less just because I was a couple months younger. Oh my god. It still triggers me today. And I couldn't watch that movie when I wanted to watch it. Well, we could turn our movie tickets into the tickets for different movies. That was fine. It wasn't lost money, but it was still so frustrating. And the hardest part about it was just he wasn't controlled, even though he was like 8 months younger. And I was like, you're kidding me. Do I look... You know, I literally, I normally do not wear makeup. Or even back in the day, I seldomly did. And I put on makeup to look older in my eyes. And he was like, nope. Can I see your ID? Alright. I need to calm down. No problem, yeah.
啊，
没
那倒也
问
方
题。But with makeup, yep. But I guess it might have been the makeup actually, all things considered. Because if I look at girls around that age or even younger nowadays, like yeah, there were girls in my class that did wear very thick makeup from an early age, but I never felt that they made themselves look older with it. They just smeared makeup on themselves and thought it looked good. And nowadays, I see so many 12-year-olds that I could swear they're at least 16, 17. Then I ask the age and they're like, yeah, well, I'm 12. And I'm like, you're kidding me, mate? God! So I can absolutely understand why, because makeup was used, he would be like, ID, please. You can make a lot. Stojan ran up to me once with makeup and asked how she looked. I said, you look beautiful, as I analyzed the wrinkles all over her face. Well, yeah, you did a good job, Dawn. You did a good job complimenting her beauty. You know, I had one girl, it definitely better than the friend of my grandma that came to visit while I was visiting her, who said to me, well, you could lose a few kilos. And my grandmother was just like, yeah. And I was sitting there like, hello? You're my grandmother, you're supposed to protect me? Hello? And I was like 14, 15. It hurts so much. I was like, okay, guess I can't trust my family anymore, thank you. Fuck you too. Ah, well. That's convenient. Yeah, but remember that was a grandmother. Somebody age 80 plus. Like, what the fuck are you saying to a young girl? For sure, yeah. But seriously, if you don't know me, and you're just a friend of my grandmother, you don't just come up to me and tell me, yo, you need to lose a few kilos. Like, what the fuck? What's your problem? Just don't comment on it. It is not your business to deal with. But yeah. Tang nodded, agreeing with Isen's idea. Having this girl along would be easier than dealing with the boy's issues. I agreed with that, but I wanted more details. Isen, how old are these lambs and what are their names? I asked Isen.
所属的俩姐妹9岁和6岁，叫红儿和翠儿。
Honger, Sue. Okay, totally butchered that. I said I nail it.
第3只叫琼华，9岁。
Chua Joha.
最后一只小羊，它是哑巴，也不识字，所以很难知道名字。你们就叫它小哑巴就可以了。
No, not even trying. Little Mute is fine.
年龄还是知道的。我问他是否9岁的时候点过头。
Can we give her a different
就是
name?
9岁。
You still know her age. She asked if she's 9. She nodded, so she's about 9 years old. Great. Cool. No name. 9 years old. Mute. I looked again as the last lamb brought in as a backup. No. This time, she looked up and met my gaze. Surprisingly, she didn't shy away like the other lambs. Well, she is still a bit tinier than most anime characters, so let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say she is 9. She didn't shy away like the other lambs. She stared at me quietly, her deep blue eyes reflecting my image. A faint moisture seemed to be layered over her eyes, or maybe it was just my imagination. Strangely, during that brief eye contact, a peculiar thought crossed my mind. She stood out as the only one among the children who didn't resemble a lamb. Or what's she gonna be? A cat? A lioness? Cat. Yeah. Okay, cool. She appeared to be a cat. Couldn't you have, I don't know, made her a tigress or something? Why a cat? Give her more. More to work with. Not that cats can't hurt you, but you give her a big cat. Speak the year. That was too short. I can't read that fast. Yeah, I could if I paid attention. I agreed to Yi-sen's job. After that, Tang and I spent a night at Yi-sen's inn. Oh, the inn is in use. Wow. The next morning, I tidied up my attire, wiped down my sword, and sheathed it. Before we hit the road, Yi-sen got us 2 pack horses for the journey. Can't ride them, but they're perfect for carrying stuff. To avoid checks on the main road, we'll take lots of mountain paths. Those trails aren't good for wagons, but pack horses will work. The inn was in a remote spot and very few people were around, especially in the early morning. Tang and I stood by the inn, estimating how much time our job would take and planning what things to bring along.
化州到洛阳路途600里，哪怕日行50里，也要走半个月。
In moments like this, I would love to get an option to say kilometers or miles. Like, give me that toggle. Please. The authors of this were Chinese, so they're using the metric system. It always annoys me that when I'm playing a Japanese game and they use the miles in the translation, I have to listen for the Japanese numbers so I can know what kilometers it is. But okay, 200 miles is like 300 kilometers, question mark? Right. Can't reckon it that way. With the lambs we'll make at most a half dozen miles a day. Taking detours will extend the distance, if anything.
妈的，那就要备30日的干粮和水。现在各处闹饥荒，这么多粮又得花不少钱。
Well, for sure. Pack light for now. Buy provisions on the road. Head east. Few folks fleeing. Cheaper grub.
行，要是我们到时候困在山里，实在饿极了，就吃个小羊充饥。
Alright, see you in a second. See you in a bit, I mean. We're stuck in the mountain super hungry. We'll munch on a little lamb. I thought we had to come up with the costs if we lose a lamb. Huh, Tongue? Tongue grinned and cracked a joke. I just shrugged it off and didn't say anything. Time to roll. I'll fetch them. I tossed a quick word to Tongue, grabbed my blade and headed straight into the inn to call the lambs. I woke up the lambs and took them outside. 3 had ropes around their waists, tied together. The mute one, without a rope, bounced around strangely.
娘，你说要不要把那个小哑巴也一起绑了？
Let's not.
虽然尹三说他是自愿去的，不用担心会逃，可他这样能撒丫子跑，我不放心。
Yeah, makes sense. I nodded, went to the saddle and found a rope in the bag. I connected the new rope to the 3rd lambs, tied a knot, and then went over to the mute girl with the other end of the new rope. The mute girl surely caught wind of our talk. She peeked at me, then turned away. Though she didn't look at me directly, she stood tall, arms raised on both sides. I didn't say anything, just stood behind her, head down. I took the rope, looped it twice around her waist, and tied a knot at her back. As I wrapped the rope, I could feel how skinny she was. The rope around her waist was only half an arm's length. So thin. After that, I double-checked the ropes on the lambs and then tied the rope's ends to the pack horse. These knots were really tight, so unless they had something sharp, it would be tough for them to untie. Even if they tried to cut the ropes, it would take time. Tongue and I would keep watch, making it tricky for the lambs to get a chance. When I tied the rope around the little mute's waist, she went along with it, didn't put up a fight at all. She did seem as sensible as Yi-san said.
喂，小崽子们，都听好了啊！我们这一路上，
sorry.
你们叫我星爷，叫他梁爷。我们要走1-2个月，为的是把你们送去能吃饱喝足的地方。
Didn't you just say a month? Okay, so we're on the road for 2 months, and let's hope that they get food at the end of it.
我们出城后一直向东走，走的路大多都是山路。
Yeah, sounds like a good idea with 6 to 10-year-olds.
每日走的不多，日行20里便可。
It is still a lot for them.
粮食我都备齐了，今后我们一天吃2顿，午时一顿，傍晚一顿。这2顿多吃点儿，别的时候不许喊饿。
Definitely not a good thing for children.
走路时不许交头接耳，不许哭闹，违者罚粮1天。这一路不要想着逃跑啊！逃者鞭笞数百，打死后还要被我活剥生吃。
Yikes. Thank you for that graphic depiction of what you're gonna do with them. Which hopefully won't come to pass, but seeing as what you did before, yeah. Tongue, all red-faced and loud, introduced himself to the lambs and set his rules. While he talked, he pulled out a switch from his back and waved it in the air, showing it to the lambs. The young lambs couldn't hide their feelings well at that. When they heard about a place with lots to eat and drink, their eyes got big, but when they heard about "I'll strip your skin and have a feast," they all got scared and huddled up. Especially that refined lamb named King Hua. When Tongue waved the switch, she got so scared her legs shook, almost falling down. Tongue always liked seeing the lambs scared because of him. He glanced at the frightened King Hua. Queen... I give up. A playful smile on his face. Don't dawdle. Time to go. I told Tongue not to overdo it and pay attention to the time.
行，出发吧。
Let's go. Tongue turned around and yelled at the lambs once more. His shout made the lambs shiver. He chuckled, licked his lips, and led the way forward. We followed Isen's chosen path to leave the city. Outside, we headed east along the planned route. To steer clear of the main road, we had to go through the foothills of the Tuhua mountain area. First, we'd cross Shuahua Mountain, then Mount Huashuan, and after that, we'd reach Tongquan, where Yisan had set up a place for us to stay. The mountainous journey would take 4 to 8 days. Tongue and I knew this part around the Tuhua Mountains area well enough to avoid bandits, but with wild beasts in the mountains, can't be too careless. We walked through Shuahua Mountain. I'm so sorry for everyone that knows Chinese. We didn't speak along the way. All we saw were endless trees, dirt and rocks. All we heard were hooves, insects and footsteps. After about 2 hours, Tongue suddenly started talking to me.
喂，娘，你知道群大虫吗？
Tiger herd? What, the name for what we're doing right now? Tiger herd?
哦，你不知道啊？
No, I don't. How should I?
群大虫就是成群的大虫，寻常时候大虫都是独来独往。前些年陕北闹饥荒，很多人向东逃难，都逃到了一些山区里，被大虫吃了。
Okay.
大虫吃人多了，生崽也多，过2年就都是成群的大虫了。
Okay.
哎，娘，你说，若来了10几头大虫，我们还有命不？
Of course not. Doubt it.
那不一定。我们手中
I'm
有刀
gonna
啊！
throw you to the lion, tigers
我就
and
挥
run
刀斩
away.
了小羊们，放出一堆血来。
My dude, the only one I'm gonna cut down is you.
大 虫见着血肉，定不会去咬我们这些持刀的，会冲上去分食小羊。那时我们便可逃了啊！
You're an idiot. An absolute idiot. Tang burst into laughter, cracking up his voice in the last two sentences. I knew he was doing it on purpose, trying to let the lambs behind us hear. You seem to enjoy frightening these lambs, huh? Is that fun? I threw a cold remark at Tang.
肯定有趣儿啊！
Sure is. Tang chuckled, dagger slung over his shoulder, moving forward. Oh, he's absolutely gonna get killed by one of them, isn't he? I glanced back at the lambs. 3 of them were scared, white by Tang's words. The mute one just lowered her head, lost in thought. Was she not afraid of tigers? Around noon, after walking for about 4 hours, we took a break for an hour. Tang had some grub first, then said he wanted a quick nap and dozed off against a tree. After that, I handed out food to the lambs, giving each one a serving of dry ration and half a pot of water. The hungry lambs quickly started munching on the food and shared the water. As I munched on my own ration, I kept an eye on them. The 2 darker-skinned lambs, Honger and Chue, if I remember right, ate pretty fast and finished quickly. Honger was the older sister, and she looked after her younger sister, giving her more water. She only took a tiny sip herself. The well-bred girl who got snatched was still kind of scared. She took the grub on really carefully, eyes wide open, and like she thought I might stab her while she was grabbing a bite. Surprisingly, even though she's a kidnapped miss, she didn't complain about the grub and finished it all. Not sure if Yi-san did a good job training her after the snatch, or she just figured out how things are now. While eating, her eyes got teary and I figured she's thinking about something. Heard it's easier for poor people to handle a rich life, but rich folks struggle in poverty. Probably hits slums like her hard. Yeah, no shit, it's easy for a poor man to suddenly have money to deal with. But a person that learned nothing but abundance because of the money they had will of course struggle when they suddenly have to make ends meet and think of how to keep their money together to, well, survive until the end of the month. What? What is the stupid saying here? Like, that is such an obvious thing. Am I overthinking this? Probably, but... Huh? If you suddenly come into money, yeah, okay. I think most poor people will really spend a lot of money if they suddenly gain a lot as well. And might not know what to spend it on, but I would think that they would leave a certain amount of money that they can keep for themselves. They will probably not invest, let's gonna face that, sadly, because they have no idea how to do it. They don't know how to handle money to make more money from having money, if you know what I mean. Like, rich people don't have to work. They just have money make the work for them through clever investing, apartments that they own, and stuff like that. They literally don't have to work. The money does the work for them, so they might not have cash on hand right now, but they have massive amounts of money in the bank or in assets and all that. So yeah, if a poor person suddenly comes into money, they will probably not know how to handle that money. properly, but depending on how much money they get, they will have still an easy life to live for the rest of it, probably. Oh my god, I'm overthinking this. Let's go. Yeah, besides watching those 3 lambs, I also kept an eye on the mute girl. She'd chowed down on her grub, eating really quick. Look away for a sec, and she polished off everything like she hadn't eaten in forever.
梁爷，
Oh, okay, they have a very cute voice actor voice. Alright, let's go. While I was watching the mute girl, a lamb's voice suddenly reached my ears. While I was watching the mute girl, the sister named Hong lifted her arm, shyly calling me, not quite used to saying my name. Okay. Hope everything goes well and your Christmas time is not ruined. What's up? I stood up, furrowing my brow and asked
我
her.
们要来抽抽，别的不行了。
Hong told me a bit awkwardly. I turned to look at her younger sister. Kerr's face turned really red. She hunched over, holding her legs just like Hong said. Eat, drink, pee, poop were constants of human life. We had been on the road for a while, so these lambs probably needed a break. Since Tang didn't cover the rules about relieving themselves, they might have been holding it in until now. Sure, if everyone needs to go, just do it on the spot. I looked at them and casually announced my solution.
梁爷，不行。
Yeah, no shit. Why not? The lamb called Kyonghwa seemed uneasy about my suggestion to do it on the spot. She looked at me awkwardly and then glanced nervously at Tang, who was resting under a nearby tree. Her eyes showed worry and discomfort. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to relieve myself in front of him either. Well, I was entirely sure of her thought. Wasn't entirely sure. I could guess. Maybe she was concerned that if Tang woke up and saw them relieving themselves nearby, he might find a reason to punish them. Or she might be hinting that, being a girl among guys, she didn't want to do it in front of men. I leaned more towards the first one. Me too. After all, these young kids were still a few years away from being adults, so such concerns shouldn't bother them. Alright, follow me with the ropes. We'll head to a spot behind these trees. Line up and take care of it there. I shared the plan and went to the pack horse, undoing the tied ropes. Holding the ropes, I guided each lamb. We passed the sleeping Tang, going toward a cluster of trees a bit away. Okay. I let the lambs to relieve themselves. When they came back, Tang was still asleep. The lambs took a short nap. I stayed awake, keeping an eye on them and the surroundings. After lunch, we resumed our journey. We walked for 4 or 5 hours around the foot of Shuhai Mountain. Thankfully, we didn't run into any beasts or the tiger herd Tang mentioned. Claire stumbled along the way, almost falling. Luckily, the rope tied around her waist and, being close to her sister, kept her from hitting the ground. The silver moon shone brightly, and stars scattered across the sky. Soft clouds moved slowly, and insects made a racket. Night made it hard to see. So we decided to find a campsite at dusk, resting until dawn before hitting the road again. Oh my god. Until dawn is now since I've played that game 2 times, I think. Not on stream, just for myself. It is now such a trigger. Each time I read the words Until Dawn, I have to think of that game. Kinda annoys me, but it's fine. Go. Sorry. Maybe I should make this a shorter stream. Reading always tires me out. Well, I love reading for myself, but reading out loud. I mean, we'd been through these mountains a lot. Found a good mountain lake for camp as dusk settled in. The lake was good for water and washing, and the conditions were decent. Tung set up camp and I made a fire. He unloaded tools from the pack horse, gathered some dry straw nearby, and set up makeshift bedding. I grabbed a bundle of firewood and took out the fire-starting tools from the pack, with a fire striker in one hand and a piece of flint in the other. I struck the flint hard, producing sparks. I swiftly brought the flint near the tinder, and after a few attempts, a flame finally caught on the tinder. The flame quickly spread from the tinder to the firewood, forming a blazing campfire. The campfire served as a warning for nearby beasts and provided us with light and warmth. Right. The youngest, Chuakur, I have no idea, happily sat down and got close to the blazing fire. She reached out her hands to feel the warmth of the campfire. Seeing Kua do this, the other lambs first checked our expressions, making sure we weren't mad, and then they also gathered around the campfire.
娘，你还真能搭伙呀！我记得你不是怕火吗？
Well, you gotta learn what you gotta learn. Just done with his work, Tung joined us with the campfire. He brought up my old story. Well, I used to be scared of fire due to past memories of a disaster. I was scared before, not now.
那是好事儿啊！本来想着你怕火，下次杀人放火，我都不愿带着你。
You can still leave me behind for that, don't you worry, Tung. I wouldn't want to join you. Tung scared the lambs with his words. Welcome back. Multitasking Dawn. Tung scared the lambs with his words again. Just don't say anything related to lambs in the meeting, alright? But I didn't feel like continuing the talk. And honestly, when you have to deal with someone, you don't need to resort to arson.
妈的，累死了！要不是怕这些小羊跑，
Dude, you already slept during the day, and my dude didn't even get any kind of rest. What are you talking about being tired? If anything, you take the first watch and I sleep. You always... This man is making me angry in so many ways. Alright, yeah. Well, you could send the mute one.
哎，娘，中午我休息过了啊，你先睡2个时辰吧。
Oh well, I
10点后
guess you have
我换
some sense. 4-hour nap. Cool. Alright. I nodded and settled down by the campfire. A gentle breeze passed by, making the campfire flames sway like torn red ribbons in the air. The fire's glow revealed the faces of the lambs, who remained still, perhaps fearing punishment, yet their shadows had already adjusted to their surroundings. With the flickering firelight, those shadows danced freely, and the crackling of the burning wood added a lively tune to their performance. The scene in front of me brought back memories of the shadow plays I enjoyed during my childhood. How old are we supposed to be, I wonder? Feeling a bit drowsy, while lost in thoughts of shadow play, I ended up dozing off. Guess I'll sleep first. With Tung watching over the lambs, no need to fret. Oh, I would fret so hard I don't think I would be able to sleep. I would not trust this man with anyone. Slightly on edge, I clutched my blade and fell asleep. My gaze fixed on the dancing flames, I succumbed to the weight of my eyelids, gradually slipping into dream.
凉，醒醒！
Tang's voice rang in my ears. I slowly opened my eyes. Huh? Did 4 hours fly by already? Guess that short nap didn't do much. Honestly, I felt more worn out now. Yeah, I feel that. 4 hours already? Asked Tang as I got up.
对，柴火烧了2捆，差不多2个时辰了。
I wouldn't trust you. The lamb's okay?
都睡了。
Tang gestured to the nearby beds. Lambs resting by the fire, Gur and Honger together. Kyonghua and the mute girl on separate beds. Ropes around their waists kept them in place. Okay, I'll take the next shift. I nodded, gesturing to Tang, and decided to stand up for a quick stretch to refresh myself. Tang saw me stand up, then found a bed and lay down. Asshole. He dozed off fast, and soon enough I heard his snoring. Now it's just waiting for the sun to rise. Quite a chore. 4 hours of sleep daily for several dozen days. In this regard, those lambs probably had it better than us. On the way, they could sleep for 8 hours. Once we reached their destination, they could get sold to the fancy sheep. If luck was on their side and they were chosen, they might get adopted as daughters. Even if luck wasn't on their side, becoming servants or mates in these chaotic times was still better than being refugees and bandits like us. Right? Thinking about it that way, this job might actually be a good deed. Ta. While lost in my thoughts, a sudden noise caught my attention. I swiftly turned to see its origin. In the dancing firelight, a lamp rose to its feet. It was Little Mute. "Why are you up?" I asked Little Mute coldly. No words. She couldn't. "Hungry?" I asked again. Shook her head. "Need to pee?" She nodded. Pee? I frowned. In the middle of the night, such a bad habit. Did they get to relieve themselves before going to bed? We don't know. She needed to pee, but it was tricky. The rope tied her to the other lambs and going... Hi, Xerox. I'm doing alright. Very tired. Oh no, hope you get some sleep. Good night. Enjoy your last moments awake. And hope you get a full night's rest without bad dreams. I don't know why, but for some reason I only have the Italian buonanotte in my mind, and I cannot for the life of me remember the French one. So, good night. Sleep tight. The rope tied her to the other lambs, and going could disturb their sleep, or even bother Tang. Going nearby wouldn't be ideal either. It could get smelly, and if I let her once, she'd probably do it again next time. Alright, I'll untie you for now and lead you to the lakeside to pee. Just be good, and don't do anything extra. I told Little Mute coldly. She nodded obediently. Rustle. I moved behind her, carefully looking for the knots, and after a bit of effort, I finally undid the rope for her. Follow me. I went to the fire, grabbed an unburned stick, lit it as a torch, and continued forward. Little Mute followed behind me. She kept a grip on my rope, following closely to stay on the track. She kept stumbling onto my back, using it to stay steady. We walked over dry branches and fallen leaves, pushed aside the foliage blocking our way, and finally stepped onto soft soil. We reached the lakeside. Tall reeds bordered the lake. The ground was damp, and it seemed like a good spot to take care of business. Here's a good spot to go, I said to Little Mute, pointing to the nearby reeds. Little Mute nodded and went over. She crouched down, tried to untie her belt, but then stood up again. She looked at me a bit embarrassed. Well, seemed like she's shy. She preferred some privacy. Fair enough. She seemed smart. I respected her wishes. Maybe you should think about why she is worried as a 9-year-old? About privacy? I turned around to give her some privacy. After a bit, I heard a rustling sound. She was undoing her skirt, doing it slowly, maybe a bit hesitant, perhaps worried I might turn around and catch a glimpse. Thinking a lot for a 9-year-old. When I was 9, did I care if there were people around when I peed? Alright, we're getting there. Oh, yeah, that might be true. Suddenly, a chilly breeze swept over my neck. Tap, tap. Quick, rhythmic footsteps came from behind. Someone was running right behind me. Little Mute! I spun around. The shiny dagger flashed in the moonlight. In her hand, a small dagger glimmered, and she thrust it upward, aiming at my throat. Her hair fluttered in the breeze, and beneath those strands I saw a pair of eyes filled with deadly intent. Where did she get that dagger? Why did she want me dead? My mind went blank, beads of sweat forming on my forehead. Her sudden attack caught me off guard. What should I do? Step back fast, neck tackle? What positioning are we in? Do we have a weapon? I have no idea. Hello? Okay, can I save? Is that save? Previous dialogue, skip, auto, load. That's probably safe. Okay, we're gonna save here. Yes. And then we try the tackle. An ordinary person might have died from her surprise attack, but my years of bloody experience kicked in. Can we get to know any of that bloody experience at some point in time so we learn more about this character? Other than him killing random people? I stayed calm. Faced with a dagger I didn't try to block with my hand or hastily dodge. I quickly lowered my body, moved aside from the dagger, and then forcefully slammed into her. How is that a neck tackle? What in the hell even is a neck tackle? But I was imagining him just trying to grab her around the neck. Thud. My charge threw her off balance and her arm lifted. She missed the stab. The dagger pierced through the air. Relieved, I pressed on, pouncing like a wolf into its prey, and shoved her into the reeds by the lake. Those sounds. I pinned her down. Right leg on her belly, left leg on her arm. Right hand gripped her dagger hand. Left hand squeezed her throat. After her failed stab, the dagger slipped from her hands. The instant she struggled to snatch it back, I promptly pressed down on her hand. Now she was completely under my control, unable to move. What the hell? What are you playing at? Wow. That L was well hidden. I glared at her, my eyes fierce like a wild wolf growling at her with a low voice. Meanwhile, I pressed down even harder on her, pulling her arm with increased force, almost crushing her thin forearm. My dude, if you want answers, maybe you shouldn't strangulate her? She could hardly bear it when I suddenly pinched her arm and pressed all my weight on her. You probably at least triple her weight. Of course she can't bear that. My dude, you're about to kill her. Get off! In particular, her right hand was probably hurt by my knee, and the bone might be broken. Plop. The short dagger slipped from her hand and fell to the ground. Literally, like 2 sentences ago, didn't it say the dagger slipped from her hand? The dagger slipped from her hand, yeah. And now, oops, I skipped. I didn't mean to skip. And now it's slipping again. Yeah, she tried to grab it. 1 second. And the dagger slipped. She tried to snatch it back, but he blocked that attempt. So she shouldn't have the knife in her hand right now. Overall, it feels like they translated sentence by sentence instead of full paragraphs. So it feels a bit weird, not gonna lie. But okay. Oh yeah, I should have probably read right after that. Okay. Something I could never expect happened. Of course she can talk. But I really want to know why. Oh. But, then I would have gone for the other one first. For sure. But, okay, he's easier prey. Okay. My thought process was, oh, she might, because this is a story of redemption. As well as all the other stuff that was mentioned before. She might be the daughter of somebody he killed, but how does she know that it was him, I wonder? Does it have anything to do with the fire that was previously mentioned? Maybe he was the one that started that fire and the fire got out of control, killing her father and traumatizing him. But it sounded like the fire happened like years ago, and if she really is only 9, that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. Well, speculations won't get us anywhere. With slightly red, teary eyes, she backed as she cried. Little mute, she actually spoke. Swine Demon, the year 1632. Okay, what's a swine demon? How come you're talking? You're not mute? I stared blankly at the little mute, pinned beneath me. She actually talked. Tears in her eyes, face red, struggling for breath under my weight. Even so, a moment ago she begged for mercy, each word crystal clear. You're literally strangulating her. How is every word crystal clear? Did being frightened by me make her suddenly able to speak? My dude, that's not how... Okay. No way. Good, good. Never heard of a mute being cured. This girl must have had some sinister plan from the start, faking being mute to catch others off guard. Spill it. Why the mute act? And where'd you get that dagger? I snapped at her, eyeing the dagger that had slipped from her hand.
高雅死我了，我没法说。
Yeah. I would absolutely agree with that, but I don't think he's currently seeing reason. She kept begging for mercy. I glanced at her and sighed. Grabbed the dagger she dropped. My left hand held her arm, the dagger against her neck, and my right. I rose, eyes fixed on her, pulling her up from the ground. Yeah, I wouldn't trust that. She got up, wobbling a bit before finding her footing, like a newborn deer learning to walk. Spill it, Brett. Why the mute act? Why the hell did you play mute? I kept my gaze fixed on her, each word sharp and deliberate. At the same time, I pressed the dagger closer to her neck. I was still steaming from a failed sneak attack. This Brett was definitely aiming to finish me off just now. If she didn't explain, I might actually cut her throat. Then do so. Suspecting you of what?
尹三他是人牙子，我怕他问的多了会起疑心，便干脆装成哑巴。
Again, why would he be in any way, shape, or form be alarmed by your presence? Were you scared he'd figure out?
我想杀豚妖，不能被他怀疑。
Again, what or who is the swine demon? Swine demon? She looked down, and the mention of that term just made me more puzzled. What's a swine demon? Thank you for asking the important questions. What's she bringing it up? Why is she bringing it up all of a sudden?
王爷，其实尹三骗了你和星爷。
I'm not surprised, okay?
不是把我们送去富贵人家，他是要送我们去豚妖那里做菜人。
Okay, that's not helping. You know that they are using code words to imply different meanings. Oh my god, why am I so tired?
你一把我们卖去洛阳，我们就要被豚妖给吃了。
Okay, yeah. Having read the theme, I know that is pretty messed up. Yeah, for sure. I'm just, having read the theme of cannibalism, I now am willing to take this literally. Otherwise, I would have taken that more in a sexual way. All things considered, they requested mainly girls. Depending on the looks, they might go for guys, so I would definitely say that it feels more implied sexually, but yeah, I wouldn't put it beyond them to also go for the literal eating of human children. Yay! Yeah, that could be it. That could be it. If they're too worn out, they get eaten, or there's like a ritual involving that. Who knows? Who knows? We'll get to know, probably. She urgently spoke with a teary tone, and I was caught off guard. Tongue and I were taking these lambs to become lamb dishes. I knew the meaning of lamb dishes. Oh yeah, tell me. It meant people who would be eaten. So in a literal sense. Cool. Sounds awesome, yeah? I remember hearing that term for the first time when I was young, back in the peaceful era, and it gave me chills. But in recent years there was a feminine chant heard in some hard-hit areas. Folks were selling kids for food. Some even sold concubines for cash, dissecting them to hawk their organs. Sounds brutal, but it doesn't seem made up. The lambs I'm sending are actually gonna end up as some swine demon's lamb dishes.
洛阳城里有一头豚妖，它重1000斤，生性好食人。
I don't think really transplants per se, but probably organ eating as a delicacy. But I think the Chinese medicine was pretty far in terms of medical knowledge, so maybe they had figured it out back then, but I don't think so. 16, what was it? Google. There you go. Google. Dr. Google, tell me more. Organ transplant, 17th century, China. Okay. The first official organ transplant was a kidney in 1954. Not necessarily. Unless, well, let me Google what hawk the organs means, because I have never seen that in Yep, I'm definitely on some search list now. Might be a mistranslation, but I'm just gonna presume that they always say they're hungry. The little fox is always hungry. For cash, dissecting them to hawk their organs. Sounds brutal, but it doesn't seem made up. Yeah, I'm gonna guess that they took the organs and sold them as delicacies to get more money out of them. I'm not one for innards, but they are delicacies around the world after all. Not so sure about human ones, but when you're hungry, I guess you go for everything. I don't know. Okay, in Luyang City, there's a swine demon who weighs 1,000 pounds. So, like 300 kilograms? Question mark? 500? And has a taste for human flesh.
他有1000年修为，能化身人形，在旁人看起来，他是洛阳最富贵的人，但他其实就是个无恶不作的大妖怪。我们全家住在洛阳附近，爹是个囤药种田的佃农。他有一次来我家看地时，看上了我姐姐，便和我爹说，想纳姐姐为妾。
Oh no！
爹爹怕他，便同意了。没多久后，姐姐便失踪了。
Oh no！
这之后，爹爹去问姐姐的情况，他们说姐姐偷东西跑了，找不到人了。
Oh no！
我不信姐姐会偷东西，整天哭闹，说是要见姐姐。直到有一天，我梦到了姐姐。姐姐说她被吞药吃了，希望我给她报仇。她还说，吞药的口味越来越刁，以后不只要吃女人，还要吃小娃子。
Is there magic in this world? Is what I'm gonna ask, since okay, she's 9. She would trust her dreams for sure. But anybody else I would ask if they're sane. Because she came to me in my dreams and told me that he ate me. That he ate her. Just okay. Okay. And then we're gonna go off of that hunch to assume that there is a swine demon, a literal demon, who weighs over 500 kilos. Who just eats women and now apparently children as well. But if his appetite is getting pickier, wouldn't that mean that he wants to eat less in terms of variety and more so focused? Or was it previously females in general and now he wants little girls? Then I would say yes, that's getting pickier, quote unquote. But like this? I don't know. But would you call that pickier? Okay. Anyway, we'll have to see how this goes. Yep.
姐姐还跟我说，屯要让华州的尹三做人牙子的活，给他送孩子吃，让我找机会给他报仇。
Okay, can our character ask? Can our character ask now? Since for some reason so far he's always asked the same question I have asked myself. So could my character now be asking, do you have some kind of divine ability to speak with ghosts? Not that I always would trust that, but or tell me in his thought bubble that yes, magic exists in this world, and mediums can be trusted since they do exist. And this girl gives off the power of a medium. I don't know. Okay, so we're looking for revenge. Let's go. I listened silently to her tale, pondering for a moment. Not convincing. Thank goodness! What she said about the lamb dishes was morally despicable, even for a bandit like me, and all of this planned by a swine demon with 1,000 years of cultivation. Oh, so we are living in one of the Murim wells. Okay. Her knowledge coming from dreams her sister sent her. Certainly hard to buy into. You acted mute, yet let Isan take you just to get close to the swine demon. I asked, ice in my voice. Little mute nodded. You think I'll believe your nonsense? Swine demon eating people? Sisters sending dreams? Don't bullshit me. Don't get how a kid like you comes up with so many lies. If you really want to off the swine demon, why lay hands on me just now? If I die, who's gonna take you to meet the swine demon? How are you gonna avenge your sister? Ignoring the mystical talk about the swine demon eating people and her sister sending dreams, as I spoke, I quickly spotted the holes in her story. While her tale could explain her choice to act mute and carry a dagger, it couldn't justify why she attacked me earlier. True, true. I was so focused on the story that I ignored that. Absolutely. Her reasoning just didn't add up. If I died, who's gonna escort her to off the swine demon? Sure enough, the little mute went silent, unable to answer my question. She lowered her head and stopped talking. Seeing her go silent, my suspicion deepened, and I began questioning the truth behind her words. What now? Should I end her? End this lying brat? Or wake up tongue and figure out how to handle her? I pondered, biting my lip, when suddenly I caught sight of bean-sized tears rolling down her face, resembling a snapped string of pearls.
因为我很怕，太怕了。
She's good at acting.
是呀，白天的时候不是说了吗？说如果我们不听话，会把我们活活生吃。我以为你们也是囤药，越想越怕，刚刚都做梦了。
My little lady, that was too deliberate to be based on a nightmare.
方才我把刀藏在巨库里，梁爷看着我解手，脱下巨库肯定能看到刀。
Cool.
梁爷这次
Where did you get it to begin with?
但若是下次看了，你肯定会变成吞药，把我给吃了。
What kind of logic? Okay, a child's logic for sure, but what kind of logic? You looked away this time, so you didn't look. Wow. But next time maybe, and then you're gonna be the swine demon and eat me. Okay.
我怕了，不知道怎么做，是一会儿就想着要刺梁爷。
Yeah, the thought of just randomly stabbing people always comes to mind when I have to pee. Mm-hmm. Same.
良夜，对不起，我再也不敢了。
Yeah, I wouldn't trust that. No matter what you say. Little Mute wiped her tears, crying on and off. While crying, she kept saying sorry to me. She cried, gasping for air, body shaking. She looked really scared, asking me to forgive her. Yeah, scared of the consequences. But I still wanted to see. You got it right. Since you've got a dagger, no matter what you say, I'll be suspicious. On top of that, you tried to stab me with that dagger, so I should kill you no matter what you say. I snarled quietly, seizing her dagger, lifting my hand, mimicking a move like I was about to stab her. Didn't we still have her? Now that I think about it, did we release her from our grasp since we had her knife on the throat right in front of us? When did we release her? Release her? Okay, moving on. I feel like I know the voice actress from somewhere. The voice, at least. Well, we're not gonna kill you. You're on the cover, so you have a big role to play in the story. But how am I supposed to trust you, Little Mute? I'm gonna kill you. Okay, and how are you gonna do that? How are you gonna make me rich and build me shrines and golden statues? Okay, cool. She shook in fear, legs giving way, crying with watery eyes and snotty face, talking nonsense. Terrified, she tried to flee, falling like a scared piglet, kicking her legs while letting out a chilling, non-stop wail. How did nobody wake up from the camp yet? We didn't go that far, right? If I hadn't held her, she'd have hit the ground. Falling like a scared piglet. If I hadn't held her, she had hit the ground. Okay. Moving on. The night was too dark to see clearly, but her terrified state suggested she might wet herself if pushed any further. It made sense. Seeing her like this, I felt a bit at ease. She had been too mature before, and with her smooth talk earlier, it had me on edge. Now, she generally seemed scared, showing her age-appropriate tears. Why would you trust that if she already displayed street smarts earlier? Why would you suddenly be like, yeah, she's definitely a normal 9-year-old child that tried to kill me because she thought we were a swine demon? Right. Why would you trust that? Considering a clumsy dagger move, she didn't seem skilled. Obviously, she probably hasn't killed before. But she seems to have it out for you, so I personally, if I were in your place, would not trust her. Unless I tripped just now, she couldn't have killed me. After some thought, I eased up on my guard. At the same time, any thoughts of killing her vanished. Get up. I sheathed the dagger and pulled her to her feet. She glanced at me, fear lingering, surprised. I spared her suddenly, still sobbing softly. I'll let you live this time, not killing you for now. You know, that's how I would have liked Maria to be depicted. Well, not this in its entirety, but more this jaded, really mature seeming, no fucks giving attitude that she's giving off. With a great feel for the theatrics, if you know what I mean. That's how I would describe somebody that grew up on the street, or mostly so. And not that childlike innocence that Maria has. Good for her, but very unlikely.
谢谢梁爷，我就知道梁爷不是妖怪，是好人。
I'm no good guy. Tonight, I can't just pretend nothing happened. I went cold-faced. After my words, little Mute, who had relaxed a bit after narrowly escaping, immediately stiffened, her expression freezing. Face away from me. I coldly commanded little Mute. She obeyed, stiffly turning her body around.
梁爷，你要做什么？
I'm punishing you.
怎么罚我？
We're not gonna hit her. We are. Cool. I don't want to read that. Take off your skirt and you'll see. Take it off. Didn't you hear me? I barked at her, the sudden loudness causing her body to jolt.
我不想脱。
I don't want you to undress either, little Mute. If you don't, I'll kill you.
梁爷到底要做什么？
Spank you, apparently. Her voice quivered, filled with reluctance. I was puzzled, a sudden wave of irritation hitting me. Why was this Brett being so difficult? I said I wouldn't kill her, and she won't even take a simple punishment. Is she trying to challenge me? With that in mind, I decided to go ahead and forcibly remove her skirt. And then she said something that left me stunned.
梁爷，你不能犯法。
Can't do something illegal? Little girl, there were no rights for children at that time in history. Sadly, it was frowned upon, but it was illegal.
弟弟跟我说过，法有规，监幼女12岁以下者斩决。
Okay, China, do I actually have to applaud you for having rules against that 17th century? Rules, China, child molestation. This section explains how sexual and domestic violence were understood according to elite norms. Okay. It seems so. Legal understanding of sexual domestic violence in late imperial China. Part 3. Intimate and gender violence. Summary. In late imperial China, sexual and domestic violence were understood in terms of the Confucian kinship system, legally defined social status keyed to class structure, free commoner versus mean debased. Had played a complementary role for much of the imperial era, but in the Qing, whatever dynasty, it yielded to the primacy of gender roles defined in terms of normative kinship hierarchy. A shift from status performance to gender performance. The chief priority of King law, was to ensure that males played their proper roles as husbands and fathers. That's not what I was looking for. Okay. A related priority was to defend chaste wives and daughters as well as vulnerable young sons against the predatory threat of single rogue males. Bearstick, who was left outside the family order altogether. This shift in the law reflected not only underlying change in imperial ideology, but also the long-term transformation of social structure and mounting social crises in China. Okay, consent, contribution, female chastity. Would it be illicit sex? No, I'm not gonna buy that for 36 euros. Just to get to know if there were rules against it in China. God damn it. Treat them like your own daughter's sexual assault prevention training in an 18th century, but that's 18th century. We're in the 17th. I see a lot 19th and 18th century, but not 17th century. We're just gonna believe it now, I guess.
我不满12，刘烨要34。
Yeah, right. Holy, I didn't. Well, I did, and I didn't at the same time. That it would go so dark, I didn't think that. At least not so early. But then again, I did say previously when she was asking for privacy while peeing, as a 9-year-old, you should really think about why that is. That means she definitely has experienced it before. In some way, shape or form, so she knows that there are people out there that would attack her if they get the chance. So, yeah. I'm kind of worried that she already was assaulted once before. I froze, and the attempt to remove her skirt came to a sudden halt. Didn't anticipate the spread having such ideas. I told her to turn around to remove her skirt, intending to give her corporal punishment. That's not much better, my dude. I wanted to cut a piece of the nearby reed and spank her bottom a few times, leaving 3 red marks. Well, I guess only 3 times. Very kind of you. But I really didn't expect that this little troublemaker thought it was about something. I was after something intimate. In that moment, my thoughts felt childlike, while she appeared mature. And it gave me a strange sense of reversal, making my already irritated mood turn awkward, chaotic, and even more displeased. How should I handle this to teach her a lesson? I don't like either. Can we not? Well, we survived this, so I guess I could. I have more than enough. Let's keep to my usual routine. Okay. On the one hand, sorry. We definitely need to punish her in some way, shape, or form, or she's gonna try that again. I do not see her learning her lesson from being stopped once. They wouldn't have mentioned where Tang keeps his knife if that wasn't important, would play a part of the story at some point in time. So yeah, she's definitely gonna try that again. But I also want to know her experience. Well, I don't want to talk about what she experienced if she was assaulted, that is, of course. But I want to know where she's coming from. I guess I'm gonna go for that. Huh. Why not go along with her story and give her a little right? Gotta spin a tale to avoid the awkwardness and maintain a bit of elder authority. What the hell? Quite a laugh, you, a little girl talking about rules with a bandit like me. I've been robbing and killing for years, avoiding official routes to transport you. Do you really think I'm a law-abiding person? Take off. I haven't done such wicked deeds before. Today, I'll give it a try. No, I'm reloading. But do I want to spank her? Oh my god. Oh my god. Hopefully he's really bad at acting and she can call his bluff. Hearing my words, even with her back turned, she was startled. My act must have hit the mark. She bought into the idea that I was really going to do it and started crying. Is that really so much better than... Okay, she backed me, trying to persuade me from the evil deed she anticipated. Even though I couldn't see her face, I could sense her fearful tears. I'm not one like Tang to relish in the cries of lambs or find joy in teasing them. Why are you doing it then? However, seeing this overly mature lamb, now exposed in her age-appropriate vulnerability, gave me a strange sense of satisfaction. You are a pervert. All right, enough of that. No more scaring you. It's pointless. Can't figure out how a little girl's mind goes there. I could never do what you imagined. I told you to take off your skirt to spank you. Yeah, really. Little Mute stopped crying, her voice shaky, cautiously asking me. Yes. Okay. It feels weird to get the permission to spank her. Sure will. I confirmed with action. I took a dagger, sliced a switch from the lakeside reed. As I made the cut, she flinched, eyes shut. Afterward, I measured the reed's length with my hand, assessing its thickness. Perfect. Wait for what? No waiting. What am I waiting for? Oh my god. I don't want to spank you either, don't you worry. Don't rush. It's coming soon.
穿着去裤打行不行？
You want to ruin your clothes? No, hurry up and take it off. I snapped coldly. She shakily reached for her skirt, fingers fumbling with the knots, hesitatingly untying them. The dim light, coupled with tall reeds, obscured the details from my view. Give me those settings real quick. Stream manager, edit stream. Select content label. The intended military conflict and civil rights of mature rated game. I can't checkmark that. How's that not mature rated? Isn't that automatic? Violent and graphic depictions, sexual themes, yes. No gambling. Huh, okay. I wouldn't call it violent and graphic depictions so far, right? Not really. Okay, let's go. It's not depicted, it's just talked about after all. Okay, now I get the warning when I get into the stream. Okay, cool. Cool. Never had that. Then I heard the soft rustle of clothes hitting the ground and vaguely saw her exposed skin in the shadows. Well, it seems she did take off her skirt, revealing her bottom.
老爷，我已经脱了，
Good job, I guess.
大轻点行不行？
I don't want to hit you. I didn't bother talking more with her. Everything's set. It's time to get started. I raised my hand, lifted the reed switch, and gave her bottom a firm smack.
怎么直接打了？
How? Yep. How else am I supposed to hit you, little mute?
不敢了，梁爷，不敢了，不要再打了。
I'm glad they're not depicting her without her skirt. Good. Moving on. Yeah, it's supposed to. She wiped her tear-stained face, pulled up her skirt, and retied the knots. I gave her 3 strikes. The child's skin is delicate, and she appeared frail, offering little resistance. To avoid causing harm to her muscles and affecting her ability to walk in the next few days, I restrained my force. Should I clap and compliment you for that, Liang? Yes. Still, I was certain it would leave 3 red marks. Your life spared for now. I'll keep tonight's event a secret for you. If Tang caught wind of it, he might devour you alive. I'll be watching you closely on this journey. If you try anything again, I'll kill you, breaking my rule of sparing children. Cool. On the way back, she limped, feeling the sting from the punishment. As she walked ahead, I lectured her from behind. At the same time, I asked her some question. The more I think about it, the less you seem like a 9-year-old. How old are you exactly?
11岁，天启元年生人，属鸡。
Yeah. Oh, you seem small, like a 9-year-old.
我吃的少，长得矮。
That sounds a bit deliberate. Why would you deliberately eat less so you stay short? What's your name?
满岁。
Mansui. Okay. She paused for a moment, then uttered 2 words. I'm gonna guess that's the name of her sister. How do you write it?
不会写，只知道岁是吃的那个岁。
Your parents truly work as tenant farmers?
真的，到洛阳城后，你可以去查。
What if those words are false?
若有假，我全家不得好死。
Okay. I'll check your story as we travel. No need for oaths. I hate being lied to. If you lied to me, I'll kill you and your whole family. I warned her coldly. After hearing the threat of killing her whole family, she shivered and fell silent. She might have been scared or just worn out from the crying and yelling earlier. In either case, she walked in front of me in silence, not paying me any more heed. Moonlight stretched her shadow as she moved through the mountainous woods. From behind, she appeared slender and solitary, akin to a lone young animal. Mansui, Sui as in the wheat ear. I silently repeated her name. This name echoed with the hope of a farming family, like the wish for fields to be lush with golden wheat ears. Suddenly, a series of scenes surged into my mind. It was as if I could see a vast wheat field. The endless field bathed in sunlight, wheat ears linked together like a golden lake. A strong wind stirred, creating ripples on the lake, forming waves. Her family held her hand, running amidst these waves. She laughed and fell into the golden sea, smiling joyfully. Home, the year 1626. That's 10 years ago, isn't it? Oh, sorry, my mouse is in the way. I knew my dad named me Mansui. Dad was a farmer working a hectare of land. The hectare? Is that really how hectare is written in English? Okay. He farmed was all planted with wheat. In spring, wheat was green, and come summer, it would transform into a stunning golden color. I could swear that the last chapter thingy said something about 1930 something. Ha. Well, judging from the colors, this is in the past, but if that was 10 years ago, she would be 1 year old, so it's not like she could remember anything at that point in time. And Dad would go harvest the wheat when summer was drawing to a close. Back then, I would trail behind Dad, one step after another. Dad prayed for a good harvest every year and hoped that the wheat would fill the entire field. That's why after my birth, he named me Mansui, meaning 4 head of wheat, and nicknamed me Sir.
小猫乖，小猫乖。
Oh my god, she's so adorable with real clothing on her that's not all ripped up. squatted down and gently stroked the kitten's chin. Oh, do we finally get the backstory, how she's connected to Liang? Okay. When I stroked its chin, it would feel good. Raise its head, squint its eyes, and start purring. I couldn't help but chuckle at the sight of the kitten. Recently, a kitten had been regularly showing up at our doorstep. A stray kitten came from nowhere and found its way to our village one day. At first, it would wander around the village entrance, and Dad said that sooner or later it would be butchered and eaten. I couldn't stand the thought of that, so I kidnapped it and brought it home. That is so adorable after that dark section with Liang. I didn't keep it locked up. Instead, I just let it roam around every day, but I can't... I can't really feel relieved for this, because this is gonna turn dark real soon. So this is just like a small breath of peaceful, beautiful, fresh air. And then we're gonna get thrown in a dumpster, I feel like. Not story writing wise, but, you know, story theme wise. I didn't keep it locked up. Instead, I just let it roam around every day. However, since I had been regularly feeding it, it didn't usually stray too far from my home. Over time, it became my cat.
小猫，你娘住哪呀？
Oh. Stroked the cat's head and asked it.
Meow meow.
The cat meowed at me once. I didn't understand what it was saying, but my guess was that it had probably gotten separated from its mom and had been wandering for a very long time.
小猫，你最喜欢吃什么呢？ Meow.
Tilted my head and asked it. The kitten meowed again. I still didn't understand what it was saying.
我去给你找点吃的。
Yay! Food for the kitty cat. Not understanding the language of cats, I smiled and gently patted the kitten's head. Then I walked over to a small clay pot next to the front door. I reached into the pot and took out a small fish the size of my palm. I caught it in the river this morning.
来，给你吃。
The grandma is not happy with that. I gave the small fish to the kitten. The kitten joyfully snacked the fish with its 2 paws, licking it fervently with its tongue. And that's when I would take the opportunity to pet it. I put my hand on its back, slowly stroking its fur. It's very well behaved. It doesn't move no matter how I pet it.
哎，小孙儿，你怎么用小鱼儿来喂狸奴啊？太浪费了。
Told Grandma's not happy.
这小鱼是我在河边抓的，反正鱼太小，人吃不了，不如给小猫吃。
哎，鱼小也都是肉，不如让你爹煮了，就着野菜给我们开开荤呢。作孽呀！这年头这么苦，狸奴都比人吃得好。咱家上下一年到头都吃不了几回肉，这熊孩子倒好，用鱼肉来喂狸。
Not like the cat could eat anything else. By the end. Well, there is a famine going on, so it's understandable that the grandma would be grumpy about us sharing food with a creature that can't hunt for us. Still sucks for sure. And okay, no. If the kitten didn't get shown how to hunt, I guess there are little chances of it surviving. Otherwise, cats are pretty good at hunting. And living self-sufficiently. Other than dogs. Like, yeah. Dogs can teach themselves how to plunder trash cans, but hunting, not so much. They suck at that. They can get lucky, but most of the time. Yeah. I hear my grandma's non-stop complaints in my ears. As grandma grew older, her nagging also gradually increased. She complained about mom the most, and me next. Yeah, because you're females. Hate to break it to you, but that's kind of the theme of this game. Mom really took good care of Grandma. She never talked back when Grandma was nagging. Instead, she would bow her head, admit her fault, and adjust silently. I thought that was pretty smart. If you talked back to Grandma, she would count it 10 times and so forth without an end. Coming, Mom. While I was thinking about Mom, she suddenly called my name. Oh no, is the grandma gonna get the kitten killed? Wash the vegetables, okay? I shouted to my mom inside the house.
小猫，小猫，我不能喂你了，你要自己吃干净哦。
Patted the kitten's head and tossed the fish onto the ground. Meow, meow, meow. I feel like this is the final time we're gonna see this little kitten kill. No, I don't wanna go further, no. The kitten obediently lifted its head and let out a meow as if it understood my words. Such a clever little kitten. I sighed in admiration silently, then turned around and went inside to help Mom. Mom was feeding porridge to my brother. I grabbed a bunch of wild vegetables and piled in the corner of the room. The roots of the vegetables were covered in dirt, emitting an earthy scent. To prevent the house from becoming damp, we washed the vegetables outside. I carried the vegetable washing basket outside and started washing vegetables next to Grandma, who was sunbathing. She glanced at me with her eyes half closed before dozing off again. Mom already taught me how to wash vegetables. I scooped some water from the water tank and poured some into the vegetable washing basket, then tossed the wild vegetables inside. After soaking the vegetables for a while to remove that dirt, I changed the water and used my hands to scrub them. I wanted to clean the vegetables well, so Mom would praise me for being responsible when she sees them later.
今天是5月初6，说来也巧，岁儿诞辰之时也是5月初6。
No celebrating the birthday.
娘，姐姐几岁？
The brother sounds old enough to be eating alone. Why does he need help with feeding?
8岁了，她呀，再过几年就要嫁人喽。
几年？
怎么说也得6年。等她到了14岁，头发就可以竖起来，然后便可以嫁人啦。
Why do you sound so happy about that?
啊，那我几岁嫁人？
胡话，你是男丁，不嫁人的。
Yeah.
你要给家里传宗接代，以后要考功名，娶媳妇儿。
As I said as we started out with this game. Yeah. I was washing vegetables outside the house and I could hear their conversation. He's my younger brother. He was 3 years old and I just learned how to talk last year. He sounds really proficient in talking for having just learned it last year. Ever since my brother was born, the most adored child in the family has become him instead of me. Does he even know what married means? I would have expected a 3-year-old to be like, what does marriage mean? What's gonna happen to my sister? And not hold this very proficient conversation about getting married off. Or, well, having somebody marry into my family. Felt jealous when my younger brother took away the love that used to be directed at me and the family. There were times when I really disliked him and times when I liked him. The past year, I guess the liking part has been a bit more than the dislike. Well, I can imagine her learning somewhat what marriage entails, but the 3-year-old brother, not so much.
Sir!
What now? Suddenly I heard a familiar voice, which made me immediately stop my job and raise my head. Daddy is home! A man was approaching from the farmland in the distance. He was dressed in burlap fabric and wearing a bamboo hat. He was tall and broad, and there was always a tender smile on his face. He's my dad, my favorite family member. He actually looks nice for once. We have a person that looks nice that is not female or child. I ran over right away and hugged his thigh upon seeing him.
孙儿乖，孙儿乖啊！
Dad stroked my head like how I stroked the kitten's head.
孙儿猜猜看，爹爹今天给你带了什么？
More weeds?
什么呀？
I curiously leaned forward. Dad then took out the treasure he had hidden for a long time. It was a dark red thing with a weird shape, like a wooden ball. Is that a sweet potato?
爹爹，这是什么呀？
听说啊，这叫番薯，海外传来的稀罕货。
I'm so
吃了
good
能
at
长
this.
寿。
Rare item from overseas. Eating it can lead to a long life.
你怎么弄的？
It really looks like nothing. Look at this. But yeah, it's the only vegetable that would fit that shape. Don't you dare question me, Dawn. How dare you? Shouldn't be you be listening to your emergency meeting? Very, very good observed.
花了一点钱，跟村里的人买的。
How many coins did you spend?
这2年光景不好，你还乱花钱。
Did they have a similar story about potatoes getting them through famine, I wonder? Yeah, but remember, famine, and a delicacy from abroad that's supposed to have healing powers. What do we see that as? A huge money dump. He probably spent all the coins he had with him just to buy that one sweet potato. I fear I could be wrong, but he seems a bit gullible, not gonna lie.
没事儿，偶尔吃吃呗，多下点力气，种更多的地，钱不就回来了？
Oh, that would be harsh, but it's actually easier to grow sweet potatoes than it is normal potatoes. Well, in a way, both have their tricks, and you need to know them. Well, they are pretty similar, actually, now that I think about it. We have one sweet potato plant because we were like, well, let's try it out. We failed to read up on how they're supposed to be planted, and I don't think we will see more sweet potatoes from that plant, but we have a sweet potato plant, and we're very happy with it. Okay, and we're gonna make up for it, alright. Do that. Dad explained while smiling, and Mom didn't say anything more. I would have imagined that the grandma would be like, "Don't talk down to my son knows what he's doing," if she was so against the mother. I put my hands on the potato, which was rough on the surface. It seemed like it had to be peeled first before eating.
爹爹，我要吃，我也要吃。
You... I told Dad I wanted to eat the sweet potato, and my brother also wriggled in Mom's arms, saying he wanted to eat some. And he's gonna get the entire sweet potato, isn't he?
哎，什么稀罕玩意儿，我也要尝尝。
Oh, are we actually gonna divide it fairly and evenly among the family members? I wonder. Even Grandma stumbled in from outside the house, saying she wanted some.
哎，好，等会儿我就烤了它。别急别急，你们都有份啊。
How do you know how to prepare a sweet potato? Oh. Dad chuckled, stroking my head and shouting at us. I looked at my family in the house and felt blissful. I looked up toward the cloudless sky. I wanted to find a cloud that resembled me, but I couldn't. Why would you look for a cloud that resembles you? What will I be like when I grow up? Who will I marry in the future? Besides getting married, what else will I do in the future? I have no clue about any of these. I only know that I have a wish. I want to be with my family forever. I don't know, your family doesn't seem all that nice, not gonna lie. Shadowplay, year of 1632. Okay, it's 6 years later. In the early morning, a light mist covered the mountains and forests. The sun broke through the haze, shining on our campsite. The birds were already up at this hour, chirping without fatigue, as if signaling to the lambs that it's time to get up. Throughout the night I remained vigilant to observe the surroundings. I held onto my blade, leaning against a tree, awaiting the break of dawn. I kinda want the revelation that he was absolutely cheated out of sleep, because I cannot imagine Tongue being like, well, I'm gonna really take care of the children for 4 hours while the other dude sleeps. No, he is way too much of an asshole for that. Mansue's mindset was surprisingly good. Despite the events of last night, it didn't seem to bother her sleep. Once at the campsite, she soon drifted off, her delicate snores blending with the night-time chorus of insects. Perhaps my spanking last night left her bottom too sore to lie down, so she chose to sleep on her stomach. With arms crossed on the ground, she nestled her head between them, half dozing with her backside in the air. Even more like a cat. After observing Mansui for a while, I took a brief glance at the other lambs and Tongue. Midway through, I took a short nap, attempting to sleep with my eyes open. I tried doing so several times over the years, but it never seemed to work. After a couple of hours of restlessness, I witnessed the sunrise across the hills as dawn arrived and Tongue woke up.
起来，都起来，我们要继续赶路了啊！
Tongue, freshly awake, promptly urged the lambs to get up. He paced, shouted, and tapped his dagger on the tree next to the lambs, occasionally poking them. The lambs rubbed their eyes, sat up, and then stood up, one by one. After everyone woke up, we hit the road. The sun was in the east, and we walked toward it. After an hour of walking, a lamb suddenly caught me.
良爷，忧思，
What's up? Hongo called out to me. What's up? Need to go potty again?
忧思，是肚子饿，我没肚子饿，我也饿了。
Oh, right, they don't get anything to eat until midday, huh? Oh, I'll go get some grub.
海良，等等，
What? I headed for the saddleback, and at that moment, Tongue stopped me.
干嘛顺着这小羊？它饿就饿去呗。
We need them to move, asshole. How are they supposed to be able to keep moving at the speed we're currently at if they don't get enough food?
我们不是定好规矩了，每天只有正午和黄昏发粮，这样便于管那些小羊，也不会误了时辰。
Okay. Yang! For sure. I nodded and pulled back my hand from reaching for the ration. But yeah, he definitely sounds like somebody that would work 20-hour shifts and would take on another job just so he's occupied with something. Or invest even more energy into those jobs. Into those 20-hour shifts. I nodded and pulled back my hand from reaching for the ration. Tongue was right. Rules bring order. Fetching grub every time a lamb is hungry would disrupt the routine and prevent them from realizing their disadvantaged situation. Hang in there a bit longer. I'll distribute rations at noon. I walked over to Hong and relayed my message. Their faces showed a hint of disappointment. I glanced at them without saying more and continued on my way. He definitely doesn't have a lot of thought going up there in his brain now, right? We kept going on the mountain path, moving slow to accommodate the lambs, climbed up a bit, and went down another stretch. Past experience suggested we were just past Shaohua Mountain into Mount Huashen's territory. Dense trees limited visibility. I couldn't spot Mount Huashen's peak. At noon, everyone was a bit hungry. A bit, sure. The lambs were showing signs of fatigue. We decided to take a short break, grab some food, but right at that moment something unexpected happened.
妈的，梁，快过来！
Ooh, is it some sort of patrol? Tongue at the front of the line suddenly yelled. He saw something in the woods, a surprised look on his face. He waved for me to come over. I was puzzled. He continuously moved forward, hand on the blade at my waist. A corpse. Well, don't you look lovely? Clearing away the branches that... What came into view was a lifeless body. Leaning against a tree, probably a man. The reason I said probably was that he had been dead for days, making it hard to distinguish his features. Wouldn't you well, smell him before you see him, though? Decomposition and all that? Trees connected to white bones. Bones fused with flesh. Flesh clinging to clothing. All bound together. It looks like wild animals fed on him, but it feels weird that they would go for his feet and arms first and not his stomach, because normally animals would go for the stomach first since that's the easiest to get to, with the most stuff to eat. So yeah, it feels a bit weird to go for the feet and arms instead. All bound together, shrouded with a black cloth on the head, dressed in a ragged robe, hair unkept, face mostly hidden in the shadow of his hair, but glimpses of a bloody hole peeked through the strands. Countless ants crawled over this mangled corpse, flies buzzing around. They darted in and out of his flesh, feasting on the man's corpse. Yum, yum, yum! I was curious why the body didn't stink. When I noticed the insects, the foul odor hit my nose, carried by the wind. Gross! Suddenly, the disgusting smell of the corpse hit me, filling my lungs and making my stomach churn. King Hua, who came with us, got a big scare when she saw the corpse.
别叫！
Who should we not alarm to our presence? The corpse is dead, Tongue. Tongue gave King Hua a fierce look. King Hua quickly stepped back in fear. Yeah, I was thinking, like, dudes, maybe keep the girls away from this. If we can walk around, do so. Why would we... Why would we show it to them? Oh my god. Hong Ai also noticed the corpse. Didn't stare, just rushed to block Queer from seeing. Mansui got a bit jittery seeing the corpse, but compared to the other girls, she held up well. She kept staring at the body, looking kinda spaced out. Yeah, she totally took it well. That's why she absolutely lost her mind looking at it. Deadly injury on the neck. I held my nose and leaned over to check the body. The man had a neat cut on his neck. Even though the blood had dried, it was clear that this cut ended his life. Dead for over 10 days, definitely not an animal's doing. Something killed him. Someone, I mean. Corpse is in good shape. No big beasts have come to eat it.
那看来，
Well,
坏消息是附近有盗匪，
bandits
好消息
around.
是附近没有野兽。
I can see that. So we have bandits, but no wild animals and beasts. Guy might not be bandits, could be someone from his same group who did it. And who says he's not a bandit, Liang? Hmm? This road's not an official road, but we've been through it before. Hardly ever run into bandits. Nowadays, travelers killing each other isn't uncommon. But would they assassinate somebody? I shared my suspicion, stealing a glance at Mansui behind me. Indeed, what I had I been less cautious last night, I might have been killed by her and left sprawled by the lake. A fortnight later, my remains would be a feast for insects discovered amidst horrified screams. With that in mind, I felt the urge to give her a stern lesson again tonight.
呀，看看他身上还有什么东西。
Oh, thanks. I have to do that. How nice of you, Tongue, after being so useful this entire time. Alright. Why do we agree to everything he says? And during the order, Tongue and I decided to scavenge the corpse. This was our custom. In the forest, we always resembled wolves. Wolves would bite down on prey worth biting, and they would gnaw on leftover remains.
妈的，什么都没有，早被扒空了，看来真是盗匪杀的。
Not empty-handed, at least found this. I presented Tang with a unique find. Despite finding nothing on the man, we came across a wooden box nearby. Oh yeah, I was thinking what that thing in the back was the entire time. The box was of a rich, dark wood. It was a light wood, but okay. The specific kind unknown to me. About 3 feet in length, it housed a donkey hide. How do we know it's a donkey? 2 braces, 3 different sized brushes and knives, 4 pre-cut puppets, and a cluster of dye bottles. I knew these things. The wooden box contained items for shadow play.
这是啥？
Used for shadow play performances.
影子戏，看来这男的是戏子。
Seems like it. Not necessarily. Maybe it just had to resort to shadow play as a means of making a living. Still means he is of that profession. I casually told Tongue, and as I spoke, I began packing up the man's wooden box, tending to stow it in our belongings.
喂，梁，你想捡这破烂？这东西连盗匪都不要，你捡到城里能卖几个钱？
So what? He can make money off of it? All things considered. Why go for being a bandit if you can have an honest job without worries? I just want it. Well, at least he has some will left in him.
那你得把这东西和放干粮的地方弄远点儿，不然有味儿。
There's nothing in there that could... Okay, whatever. Luckily, this box was already far from the corpse. Saying that, I wedged the wooden box into a gap in the stuff of the pack horse.
妈的，本来就没胃口，给你搞得更没胃口了。
Poor baby. We missed lunch by 2 hours. Finding a dead body tended to ruin everybody's appetite. During this time, King Hua and Hong Er struggled with nausea, likely disturbed by the memory of the corpse. They held back from vomiting, not wanting to lose precious food. Vomiting would mean one less meal, and it might draw attention, risking a scolding from us. 2 hours later, Tongue and I handed out the grub to the lambs. I took a short nap at noon, and Tongue took the lambs for a bathroom break. Then he also rested for a bit while keeping watch. In the afternoon, we walked along a long stretch of mountainous trail. It got tougher. With a good stretch of unused trail, we pushed through the weeds, and sometimes I had to use my blade to cut through thorns blocking the way. King Hua's legs got a bit shaky during this, and there was a moment when she slipped into a mountain ditch. Luckily, she had a rope tied around her waist, and we swiftly pulled her back up. After getting pulled up, she was still shaken. Tongue mocked with a few mean comments, but Mansui approached, took her hand, and comforted her. Shivering and teary-eyed, King Hua slowly calmed down with Mansui's silent comfort. All things considered, she's holding up great, being born into nobility and now having to walk for this long. Something she definitely didn't have to do before. Yeah, she's holding up great. Mansui took care of things for us. Tang and I weren't going to coddle the sensitive lamb. Even Tang had to admit, well, this mute lamb is the most worry-free. As Tang said that, I glanced at Mansui. That moment, she raised her eyes and looked at me with a hint of smugness, as if to say, see, I fooled him. Her look made me want to punch her. I knew she was faking being mute, lied about her age, and was the trickiest, most dangerous troublemaker. But to keep her alive, I kept it to myself, not telling Tang any of it. Come to think of it, why am I even bothering to keep this girl alive? Why did I cover up what happened last night from Tang? Yeah, good question. I wouldn't tell Tang either, don't you worry, but normally you would maybe warn your companion? Your brother in crime about a potential leak, a potential danger, but yeah, it's fine. We may not be the best buddies, but after all we had been through together, why was I reluctant to spill the beans to Tang? I didn't know. Every time I wanted to spill the beans to Tang, I felt this tightness in my chest, making me choose to keep covering for her. It was stifling. Okay, before we go further, I could go on. I'm surprised that my throat isn't super dry for once, but I'm hitting that sweet threshold of being half asleep and way too awake for this. So before we have any more weird implications of maybe sexual assault, I'm gonna end it here. Yeah, we have like 9 more hours to go or so. Although we spend a lot of time. Yes. Talking about random bullshit today, so I'm also at fault there. But yeah, it's an interesting story. I'm not so sure that I'm happy with the translation of it. Like, yeah, there's some inconsistencies there, but it's fine. I've seen worse. And translating from Chinese has to be even worse than Japanese, not gonna lie. So it's understandable, but still. Alright. It's probably only gonna get darker from here, and that's very, very sad. But I want to continue tomorrow. Alright, as always, thanks for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed it, and I see you next time. Take care, and bye-bye!